All right, now to introduce our first guest for the evening. Joel Thomas Katz lives in Palo Alto. His poems have appeared in Sandhill Review, Montserrat Review, West Wind Review, Spillway, Sejura, DMQ Review, Red Wheelbarrow, and McQueen's Quinterly. His latest books are Aqueduct, 2023, and Erase, Endure, 2020, both published by Dutch Poet Press. Joel has also co-translated poems by contemporary Dutch poets Ingmar Hetz, Hetze, thank you, and Saskia Stehauer. Yeah, you can find him on the web at joelthomaskatz.com. Please welcome Joel to the mic. All right.
Almost lost in traffic. So let's see. Good evening, everyone, both here in San Jose and in Zoom land. It's a pleasure and an honor to be a featured reader alongside Gail Wronsky from Los Angeles. So tonight I'll be reading from my most recent collection of poems, which is called Aqueduct, October 2023. And by the way, which is available for purchase here tonight. And then time permitting, maybe one or two newer poems. Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Yep. All right. So this collection, Aqueduct, came about while I was browsing through several years worth of my poems. I was looking for some emerging theme or themes, but it wasn't until I ran across a phrase from the American poet Arthur Z, S-Z-E, that the book began to take shape. Quote, "Yesterday you constructed an aqueduct of dreams." So this notion suggested the possibility of encompassing dreams, the act of dreaming, dreamlike states, and imaginary scenarios. So here's the structure of the book Aqueduct. The book opens and closes with a picture postcard poem, so we have bookends, right? There's a first section which explores various dreams and dreamlike states. In the middle, there's an interlude which consists of a single essay-like poem. And then the final section explores more extended notions of dreamlike states and imaginary situations. Also scattered throughout the book are what I like to call palette cleansers. These are very short poems which are spread out across a nearly blank page, and they serve to shape the pacing of the book. Ready? Here we go. Picture postcard. Man reclining on a man lying on piles of flattened car bodies on his back with his eyes closed, dressed in white shirt and black pants. He dreams of Italy. He dreams of pasta. He dreams of lasagna because there are 6 layers of crushed cars beneath him. Fiats, Alfa Romeos, Lamborghinis. Any place is a place for dreaming, even hard ruins. Okay, and then now into the first section. There's several poems called dream logs. This is one of them. Dream log. Inside it, I managed to say, this is a dream. I was emptying my heart of the freeway, but the dream got tired and so halted itself. It was not the one I had planned on. It was different than the one with atoms clanking against each other, or the one across the street from a school, children milling around, ringed by dumpsters. Toward the end, I said, this is still a dream. In Hebrew, dream is chalom. just one letter away from chalon, window. I'm about to divulge one of the sources of inspiration for my poems. Okay? Snapple fact number 1368, quote, a neutron star is as dense as stuffing 50 million elephants into a thimble. I feel the need to create something light and more roomy, a space for someone to enter. I tell my sister that since May, it's been 5 months and Dad has yet to appear in a dream of mine. She says, did you ask him in? Blacksmith. Today, you are an animal, whacking a metal arm into an idea. What the bellows add, elbow room. The sparks, drama. And your tongs, detachment. Today, you are an animal. Some other day, just a washcloth. Heating the metal over the forge turns it into what a dream isn't, durable. Again and again, whack, sparks, hiss of cold water. A dream lasts till the coals die, and that is the end of one night, an ingot. Okay, here's a palate cleanser. They all start, the dream was. The dream was a paper bag with 2 eye hole slits. The dream oozed off the counter onto a just polished wooden floor. The dream did not work as advertised. Did you see the dream pass by? No, but I caught a faint whiff of bleach. There's something about being in airplanes that Boeing 737 window seat. People on my plane have lots to say. The carpenter's plane has something to tell the plank, all those dropped feathers. Meanwhile, the woods are busy quieting hikers, becoming a forest. This morning, a guy outside Starbucks said, the next time I get knocked unconscious, I'm going to tell the Lord, don't feature me in your stinking soul parade. His vow, now an airflow lifting the 74 tons of my plane. The sky is stupid with clouds. Last night, the dream tried to withhold, then relented and said, not everything is a dream. You have been granted words and so many ways to stumble. In flamenco music and dancing, a bailaora is a female flamenco dancer. And there's a quote at the end, which is reworded from Gertrude Stein. So let's see how that goes. Last night's dream involved a thick-heeled flamenco shoe floating along a lit corridor, leading 5 bailaoras who slowly stamped their way along, arms proud. No frilly dresses or castanets, no combs and pullback hair, nothing extra, just the sound. A message for me, or for my sister, who's reached an impasse with her flamenco lessons. What to do now in her Pittsburgh attic with its wood floors and full-length mirror for checking footwork. Maybe we should both dance, here's the quote, a clean dream and make more mistakes than yesterday. A cleanser. The dream was radish slices, slightly astringent. We're now positioned in the middle of the book, and there is an interlude, short essay on sleep, And it has an epigraph at the top from the poet Lisa Fishman. Don't be silly like a pillow full of atoms. Short essay on sleep. Sleep, like soup, sharing two letters and the same consistency. Sleep gathers in the corners, soup nests. Soup may contain letters and sleep may contain words. Soup doesn't intentionally misspell, and dreams don't intentionally mislead. Through symbiosis, one may dream of soup. Sleep is to dreams as tureen is to vegetables. Bread goes well with sleep. Soup rises, sleep descends. Sleep can be punctured like a tire, though people seldom tire of soup. Soup deprivation is not dangerous. Soup happens when lightning hits a bowl of sleep. Now we're on to the second section, and we're going to explore not just dreams or dreaming, but dreamlike states and imaginary situations. So, worlds. Only in her dreams does my wife grow a penis. And the man next door points at her and shouts, "What a woody!" Only in my dreams do I have a daughter alongside three real sons. At our synagogue, a cloud of bees swarms the rosebush where a queen has flown. The rabbi has to call the city, so fierce and protective the drones. The first time my love and I saw each other naked, I had nothing to hide behind. Finally. The next piece is a prose poem, and the title of it is Kine, K-I-N-E, which is a old-fashioned form of the word cows, the plural of cows. Okay. Kine. Every other cow swats her tail at the daytime moon. The rest maintain a grating silence. Or are they asleep standing open-eyed? In their dreams, cows perceive the days lengthening. Some notice a circle of nearby humans closing and opening their mouths. The odd number cows decide to lie down and smother some grass. The evens worry their multiple teats, superior to whatever humans have. The moon scoots over a bit. Half the cows are chewing over what else to do. They conclude that odd and even do not apply to humans. Now, a little bit of art and art history. There's a form of art called a diptych, and it's usually two canvases close to each other. They may be, by the altarpiece, right, like that, or they may be joined on a hinge. But anyway, there are two instances which are brought together. And this poem, the way it's on the page, I don't know if you can see it, it's in a left-hand column and a right-hand column. Okay, the only other thing you need to know is there are certain horses in Mexico which dance around like the Lippinzahner stallions in Austria, right? So they'll gallop into the poem at some point. So, and I'll let you know when we've moved from the left to the right diptych. Right? Diptych, Fog Bible for the perplexed. In what way does fog speak to our befuddlement? It forms a pillow where one finds comfort from the insistent. Animals know they are asleep, and animals know they are dreaming. Even the armadillo who rolls up into a leathery shell when attacked, even the dancing horses of Apatzingan. You dip your hands into the waters because you were dumbstruck. Then dip your hands again to find words for it. The stream is unconcerned, busy being aqueous. When everything shimmers from accumulated proximity, then what? Animals know they are dreaming when humans become silent. The next poem has a phrase at the end which is crossed out, but the phrase appears crossed out, and then a replacement phrase comes right after. So I will try to vocally indicate the cross out. We'll see how this works. It's called Whelk, W-H-E-L-K. When you shared the dream in which you'd forgotten how to use Uber, I heard it as, I'd forgotten how to use a zipper. Then I shared a dream where my father first returned 7 months after his funeral. I'm in the middle of providing a urine sample, and he just walks into the exam room, me in my 60s, him in his 40s. He looks concerned. Is everything all right? And I reply, yes, it's all routine. A delay, and then a dream. Is it enough? One day, you and I trudge to the beach and discover an empty shell left behind by a whelk. Its coloration a cross between smudge and splatter. Tell me again how we never stop dreaming because there is no end to confusion. Shh. Comfort. Time for a palate cleanser. The dream was an exit sign read in a darkened theater, a misplaced can opener, scarecrow in a field of no corn. This next piece, which is a prose poem, has a rather long title, which is a quote from the American poet James Tate. Okay. And the title kind of runs into the body of the piece. So, quote, I was thinking about the potato salad in an unstable environment, James Tate. How it threatens the city's potholed streets and tenements with its picnic exuberance. How potato salad overshadows main dishes and, being unstable, sheds its isotopes, eventually leaving behind an inert radiance. Or is the viewer unstable and a potato salad is a potato salad is a potato salad? Does it matter whether it's served on fine china versus stuffed into takeaway cartons from the local deli? In a world swirling with spatchcocked chicken and helium-fueled peach foam, I would choose the potato salad takeaway carton 8 times out of 10. Yet between two dreams, I'd pick the one more convoluted. So we're heading into very imaginary situations which have dreamlike aspects to it. The title flows directly into the body of the poem. The forest was tired and really needed a break from being a forest. All those animals, all that shade, wanted a stand-in for a few hours. Oh, how the forest longed for a compact situation, cafe, bowling alley, or an art house movie, so appealing midday. And why not take off the entire day or even a weekend? It all came down to the pool of availables. It was time to contact placeholders, see if anyone was free. Then the forest decided not to return. The stand-in stranded in the clearing, waiting, till the only thing to do was call and report a forest missing. The next, this is almost the last one before the final bookend. This one is called Angel Coma. And there's a quote from Italian literary theorist P.B. Almoni, who says, angels visit because they're curious about our condition, not having any children of their own. Angel Coma. Not last week's disoriented angel who kept bumping into fences and wore a robe with scars, nor yesterday's angel who suffered a stroke, left wing drooping, flying in circles. Today was different. One particular angel fell into a coma. How could that even happen? A cohort of healthy angels gathered around the stricken one, each creature's wings touching its neighbors. They gazed at the motionless one, each praying to be spared. Truth is, like humans, some angels are more ready than others. And here is the final picture postcard of the bookend. Picture postcard, woman climbing into, a woman in high heels and black gloves holding a branch in her left hand is trying to hoist her body into a ship's porthole. Her upper half already through the circular opening, left arm with the branch not yet inside. The branch held upright looks like a wooden candelabra. Her legs are lifted and tucked against her bottom, so the heels stick out at odd angles. What you don't notice at first, the rivets along the top half of the open porthole, or in the bottom right-hand corner of the photo, a metal cleat for ropes at the same angle as her still struggling torso. The rivets, the cleat, the metal ladder to the left of the porthole. What else slips past you as the woman climbs back into her dream? And I think I have time for one new one. And this is for Gail Wronsky, the other featured reader tonight. I know her work from several YouTubes, like from Beyond Baroque in LA, and also a YouTube with you and Diane Seuss, schmoozing and poeting, right? Gail likes to investigate various aspects of death. And so this is for you. Okay. A very long title. Having left a body, the soul stops at International House of Pancakes before journeying onwards. Pancakes. And does the soul also know about Chipotle? What about Bob Evans or Red Lobster? If the recently deceased was Canadian, would the soul be hankering for some Tim Hortons? My grown son, who's sensitive to noise, dislikes going to IHOP. Floors are either wooden or linoleum, the walls plaster, and the ceiling's too low, thus augmenting the din. This does not bother the soul. So, IHOP. Mm-mm. But what if the soul is in a hurry? Being an immaterial essence, does the soul convey its food request to Starbucks as a mobile to-go order from some celestial area code? Thank you.
Introduce our next guest. Gail Wronsky is, it's getting there. Sorry, glasses. Gail Wronsky is the author, co-author, or translator of 17 books of poetry and prose, including Some Disenfranchised Evening, Under the Capsized Boat We Fly, New and Selected Poems, and the poetry collections Imperfect Pastorals, Poems for Infidels, and Dying for Beauty, a finalist for the Western Arts Federation Poetry Prize. She is the translator of Argentinian poet Alicia Partnoy's book Fuegos Florales, Flowering Fires, winner of the American Poetry Prize from Settlement House Press. Her poems have appeared in many journals, including Poetry, Boston Review, Antioch Review, Denver Quarterly, Poetry International, Guesthouse, and Volt. Gail is the recipient of an Artist Fellowship from the California Arts Council. Her work has appeared in several anthologies, including Pratik, the LA issue, Poets Against War, The Black Body, In Possession of Shakespeare, The Poet's Child, Wide Awake, The Poetry of Los Angeles and Beyond, and Coiled Serpent, Poets Arising from the Cultural Quakes and Shifts of Los Angeles. The Moose in the Moon, her book of poetry for children, was published by Sehai Publishers. Gail is co-editor of the anthology What Falls Away is Always, Writers Over 60 on Writing and Death. She taught creative writing and women's literature at Loyola Marymount University in LA, where she was awarded the Harry M. Daum Professorship. You can find her at gailwronskypoet.com. Now, please give a warm welcome here and in Zoomlandia to Gail Wronsky.
Much. Thank you, Rob, for that great introduction and for selecting my book to win the Swan Scythe Chapbook Prize. I knew it would take somebody really extraordinary to really catch this work and appreciate it. And I'm so glad it found you. And thank you, Joel. I love that poem. And I love the angel poem too. I love the little bits of surrealism throughout your work. Really nice. So I'm going to read some poems from Some Disenfranchised Evening, which is my newest book and published by Rob Pesich and Swan Scythe Press. Poem for this moment. Normally, I'm as sensible as celery, but today red coyote ghosts slink through my veins. You must have moments like this and feel even a certain gratitude for what is extraordinary. At the same time, I worry that these days we're like people sitting happily at a theater while our homes have become scenes of mourning and no one has called us yet with the terrible news. I also worry about flaming sequoias, the unsettling dissimilarity between despair and disrepair, and that one green particle of infinity that's gone missing. What's that noise? Now, full disclosure, I have never injected opium into my veins. But it just seemed like such a cool thing to say at the beginning of this poem. But my niece read this poem and said, "Aunt Gail." Well, what's that noise? When the opium entered our veins, it swelled them with desire for the unknown. I wanted to see through the eyes of an octopus. Now night's nearing, and there's an absurd turbulence in the clouds. Nothing can be heard above the crashing din of heaven, not the small sound of someone dying, which is like the sound of a dropped screw rolling slowly back and forth on a table, or like grains of salt falling on salad leaves. I've been dreaming of fire on a piece of paper. I've been dreaming I was a comma interrupting the clatter of conversation, a stone on the road. I have phone booths and prison cells in my body, hermetic spaces where whispers of the living and the dead can sometimes be interpreted. Yes, I do talk a lot about death, but I think poetry is a great weapon in some ways against death. We use our imaginations and we really battle that nothingness with our imaginations. I'm no longer eager for danger. Everywhere I rest, I lie on a wound. And there you are on a farther shore wearing a black coat just like the one I have on. You who skewered me, who turned my thoughts into a blue stew in my brain. Don't even mention the tension that looms or the huge wildebeest that is love, the animal now calmly turning to survey me, one of the jackals barking crazily at its feet. This is a poem that takes place at an art opening in an art gallery. You know, you've all been to those things. They have lousy wine. But they're doing the best they can. And it's sort of a, make some jokes about modern art, which I love actually, but okay. I see two black shadows, four red leaves. What do you see? I'm on my fifth cup of imaginary wine and contemplating a stylish hors d'oeuvre. I think I'll resist it. I'd just conversed with two towers of blue stone, then studied hieroglyphs painted in berry juice on a napkin signed Yoko Ono. There were three disembodied plumes of smoke that looked like ghost arms threatening to embrace us. One woman's voluminous skirt contained a universe. Her voice was so high it dyed the air red like a siren. I gestured toward a large abstract painting. "How much for that?" I asked. "The artist accepts payments only in the form of ideas," the host said. "How many you got?" "Here's one," I said. "Our brains change color several times a minute." Thank you. The last time I read that poem, somebody in the audience said, "I'm going to look that up." I'm like, don't bother. I totally made it up. Okay, I don't write a lot of overtly political poems, but this is one that had to be written. It's called "The Moon is in Labor," and I wrote it after the reversal of Roe v. Wade. The moon is in labor. At least she's pretending to be in sisterly solidarity. It's not a joke, but the whole world's taking it badly. Meanwhile, I sit here pretending to be a flame in a thrown bottle. I pretend that curved horns grow out of my ears when I hear of injustices. And meanwhile, like the faint cigar lights of the darkened lounges where world leaders fraternize, the moon's red light glows, then fades. Her labor proves to be, well, laborious. Mine was too, although this poem burst forth from my brain like a boot or a god furious. Okay, things ended badly. One day, a tall shadow brushed by me, letting out sighs, and since I'm a poet, this caused me to unleash my ferocious innocence and its monsters. All around the house, inanimate objects started to breathe and procreate. I kid you not. Then 3 disembodied hands appeared, jerking and fumbling like wounded pigeons. Then out of my mouth grew a night-blooming anemone whose petals evaporated in sunlight. The person I live with had less than enlightening things to say about any of this, only, "You're breaking my heart with this nonsense," which is when I told him that being in love was just another way of entering the ultimate quagmire of the irredeemably bizarre. As Rilke said of love and death, the buried are always seeking earth again. The blinding noise of the day. I hate waking up in the morning with wings, having given birth to an egg the size of a small VW. Don't you? I grope and sniff, lost already somewhere in the blinding noise of the day. I call and no one answers. It's been a while since even the wind wrapped me up in obsessive caresses. Listener, you think this poem will end with me returning to my bedroom, which glows like the inside of a lemon and is carpeted in tiny golden feathers. It does. Okay, Stoicism. Do you remember like a couple years ago, everybody was reading Seneca? Maybe just in LA, but Seneca was being talked about. And so I read some Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, and I liked him. You know, he talks about death all the time. So this has an epigraph from Seneca: "The very ground on which we stand is not secure." That's good for California too, right? All of our earthquakes. The poem is called Stoicism. I would read more Seneca and perhaps a bit of Marcus Aurelius. But right now, my shadow is tangled in the branches of an oak tree. Yesterday, I went for a walk in a cape made of coffee sleeves. The day before that, you and I found ourselves inside a deep and inescapable crevice. Or was it in 2 separate fish bowls? Anyway, I'm busy. I'm listening to birds singing discordant harmonies. I'm trying to learn to balance a chair on my nose. Sometimes all of us are frightened. Sometimes, like all animals, we're startled by petty things. I have always wanted to sprout green wings and wear a crown of rubies. But perhaps I'm hoping for things I don't deserve, and death is coming. Certainly, death is coming. While standing with our baggage, we're staggering. Don't ask what alto sax solo led us here. The arbitrary as inevitability. This is my poem, sort of about being married to Chuck for like 400 years. We're living in a dark sea of thunderous doors. Open one and find yourself on a beach you went to on a whim once, long ago. The beach where he asked you to dance and howl naked around a bonfire. The beach where you said, "I'd rather die," or "Bite me, asshole." Where we sat on the shore and watched 4 decades rush by like smoke. Things I'm trying to assimilate. The fact that I'm not unhappy with the fact that I'm so often sad. The stillness of a place where a shadow once fell with the stillness of the places where shadows will never fall again. Rose petals falling on the sculpted hair of a bride with the somber veils of darkness I wore at my own marriage of memory and regret. That was my first marriage. The invisible waves that drive the air with the quietness of the outermost skin of sky. The smoky fingers of sleep with anything, say a glacial breath from a cave strewn with artifacts from another world. This strange conversation that is life with death, which, as you know, we can only talk about while we're living. And the last poem from this book is, When in the Wild Corner of My Writing I Fail. I have a deep love for pastoral poetry, you know, the old stuff, the shepherds and shepherdesses and the sheep and all that, right? So I even wrote a book called Imperfect Pastorals. This is when in the wild corner of my writing I fail. When in the wild corner of my writing I fail to track down a poem. When the morning green of Venus confronts me and I rock like a ship ravaged by catastrophe. When day arrives disguised in the form of a garbage truck. When the sun's white disk glows blue at noon. When black lichen rides the tired trunk of my oak tree till evening. When memory passes over me with its long gray braids. I sometimes hear the haunting bleating of imaginary sheep. Okay, and then so this next book, this is this is a book that came out before this one, and it's a real interesting book because it's got artwork. So it's got all of these illustrations. Each poem has some artwork that goes with it. And the artwork is by an artist named Gronk, who's a Chicano artist living in LA. And he's a friend. So I asked him if it was okay if I wrote poems about his drawings, and he said yes. So I went for it. I'm going to read a few of those, and that's all. Okay, this one, if you can see the picture, it's like a head with flames coming out of the shoulders, right? It's called My Epaulets Are on Fire. And the person inside me is frightened. The flames are vertical, two wavering spirits standing upright in their graves. The silence here is like science, antiseptic. And the person inside me is dying to pat me on the back. I'm a poet. This is to be expected. If only we had a pair of asbestos gloves. If only we had arms. Okay, this one is a picture of like a human figure that looks like it's made of ice, kind of over a fire. Can you see that? This is my homage to Robert Frost's poem, Fire and Ice. Only the moon is immortal. I'm hovering over a flame and my body is made of ice. In this predicament, I realize, one, I've made this fire so my deep need for marvels could be satiated. And two, God made me ice so that ultimately I will be transformed. I didn't destroy the world 2 times the way Robert Frost does in his poem, once by fire, once by ice. Okay, here's one. It's like a sort of Trojan ghost horse. It's a blue horse and little human figures underneath it. Okay. This is, you're seeing things that aren't there. I only want what's best for you, which is why I've got to say that that giant blue ghost horse you think you're standing under isn't real. It isn't full of ghost Greek soldiers. It won't help you capture the famously beautiful woman. Plus, even as an act of the imagination, it's taking up a lot of atmosphere in here. And people are starting to talk. Who's the guy with the giant blue ghost horse that isn't real, they're saying. It's you they're talking about. You projecting your inner life onto the world. You poet. It's you. Okay, two more. This is a hand holding up what looks like black feathers and a little sort of matchstick figure next to it. That answers that. You're an elegant hand holding up a bouquet of black feathers. I'm a stick figure of a person with flames on the top of my head. I love you because you're flammable. You love me because you haven't read the warning labels. Someday, like all good ideas, will be forgotten. But meanwhile, we live here on a planet called yesterday. It dies every night. One more little short one. This is really weird. It's like a giant pair of pants, striped pants with people on it. Okay. Don't do it. Don't fall off the giant clown pants of life just because you're having your picture taken. See, right here, I'm giving you the benefit of a metaphor. It's what I do, that and warn people not to talk shit about poets. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Gail Wronsky. We've got big sales behind it, over here.
All right, and right at this very space tomorrow at the same time is Flash Fiction Forum. You can see who's performing at flashfictionforum.com. And they've been partners with us for just a little bit shorter than well read, but celebrating now their 10th year with works in flash fiction. And I'll bring over a couple of their books that Works